Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Play. Today I'm taking a look at Brutality, the indie versus solo co-op RPG light, any genre, any models, skirmish game from Scott Wainwright. I'll be playing it using the solo rules because that's honestly the easiest way to do a Let's Play, because I can kind of talk about what both sides are doing. And checking out the AI tree, and I've built two warbands of models that I just had sort of in my collection that didn't have a game anymore. So I'm using models actually from Cool Mini or Not, the Dark Age line and the Wrath of Kings line to build my warbands. And they kind of perfectly fit into the Brutality universe. They're plucked from another dimension. We've got Isaac and his followers, who are sort of a high-tech shooting warband. There'll be my active warband, my player warband, and I've got the Goritsi as some like brigands who are trying to rob them in the middle of the night. Now, if you want to break sort of like step-by-step breakdown of the core rules of the game, you can go up here in the cards and check out my review of the rulebook itself, which should walk you through making a warband, the general like structure of a turn and stuff like that. I'm going to jump in for the first turn. I will describe sort of like what I'm doing, but this is more of a playthrough of the rules than it is a learning game. So I will try and explain what I'm doing and sort of like how to set up a game and the general fundamentals as I go along, but a more in-depth review of like warband building and stuff like that, you can check the review out for. So let's take a look at the warbands I built up. Now, you get 5 points in a campaign game to start off with, which means typically you're taking 5 basic models. When you build the AI warband, you do the same thing. You just build a warband that you want to fight against with your model collection. So you can use any warband you want, but it does assume using the AI tree that you have at least one of every basic type. So you double up on something. In this case, I doubled up on melee models because that made sense for my Goritsi model collection. But you should have one of each type. So you're always fighting a fairly balanced warband. I went with a fairly imbalanced warband in reply. So I've got a shooting warband with some fast models. The AI's got sort of access to everything, which should give a good show of the rules themselves. So let's take a look at what I came up with, and then we'll get this underway. I got everything put together to play my first game of Brutality. So I've got 2 warbands. Now, the warbands have been assembled out of just my model collection, because I really like a game where I can take models I haven't used in a while and do something with them. So first I made Isaac's followers. Now these are a gadget sort of like faction, which means that they have a unique faction trait where you're -2 to charge them. They have like flashbangs or something you can imagine that makes it harder to get to them. Some kind of gadgetry that makes it harder to get to them, basically, or that they dodge back and stuff. And I got 5 models because I had 5 points to spend, so they're all 1 point each. I've got a ranged model, who's also my leader. Now the leader gets to get 3 stat upgrades and an ability. So my 3 stat upgrades, I upgraded his dexterity, his save, and I gave him, what was the third thing? His fight. So his fight skill's 5, his dex is 6, and his save went up to 3+ to represent the fact that he's a soldier, right? Like he's a tech soldier, but he's still a soldier. And he's wearing some pretty heavy armor plates and stuff there. So he's got a good ability to like survive. He's ranged, he's a 20-inch range weapon with 2 shots, and I gave him for his ability piercing. So if he rolls a 9 or a 10 when he rolls to hit, you're -1 to your saving throw against it, just representing the fact that he's got like a high-tech gizmo gun. His 2 centipedes, now these are fast class models, which means they have a move of 8, a fight of 6, a dex of 6. 3 hit points. I used one of their 2 boosts to give them a bonus save, and the other to give them a 6-inch range weapon. So they're little like face lasers here. But they're super fast, and then they're fearless because they're robots, so that made sense. It means they can interact with objectives even if there's enemies nearby, because they just don't care. I took another range model, which is Lieutenant Cora. I gave her the piercing ability as well in her range weapon, because she's kind of a sniper. And then I upped her, what else did I give her? Oh, that was her ability. I upped her, I think I gave her a better save, yeah, because she's wearing armor as well. And what was the other thing I took? Did I take anything else? I must have taken her... No, I've not added anything else. I think I'll just add her fight to 5 because she's a soldier too. Weaponsmith, who's also my medic, he's just a ranged ability too. So I upped his will because I gave him a power, and then I'm also upping his dex to 6, but I forgot to do it. And then I bought him a power is what I did. I upped his will to 5. No, what did I do? What did I do, Ash? You gave me healing power, which is 6-inch range, and you gave him piercing on his gun, yeah, because he's got a handgun. And then you forgot to give him anything else, so you up his will to 6, because why not? Because that way he's better using his powers. There we go, there's my player group. So basically everyone except for the leader gets 2 stat boosts, which could be a stat boost plus or like a power or something like that. So in this case, I took the ranged weapon as a stat boost and the save as a stat boost, and then they get 1 ability. And then they get 3 if you're the leader, plus an ability. So they're all statted out, and then we get the wear. Regeneration is their power, because obviously they're werewolves, which means everyone's -1 on the wound chart when you damage them. On top of that, they have 2 feats, and I forgot actually to mention the feats for the gadget ones. Feats are just what they sound like. They're a once per game ability that you can trigger at the appropriate time as described. And some are constant. Sorry, the constant effect is the thing that everybody gets all the time. So the -2 to charge and the -1 to wound chart rolls. And then your feats are your once per game abilities that you can just trigger when. So the gadget one enemy model within 6 of this model receives a pause token and a confusion token if they want to do the feat. So basically like a flashbang. And then this model does one of the following until the end of the game turn. Gains flight and agile, gains a protect token, place a 6-inch barrier within 6 of this model, beginning this model's activation. So cool feats for my leader basically to do, which could represent all of his like techno gizmos and stuff. And for the regenerating ones, we have feat after this model dies and all damage resolved, it comes back to life with 1 hit point. Sweet. And then this model heals a lost hit point and removes any damage, any tokens you're choosing at the beginning of this model's activation. So two amazing triggers basically for the big werewolves. And then the wear, I have the Mistress. She's my leader. She is a fast model, but I upped her for her 3 bonuses. I gave her a fight increase, a dex increase, and a save increase to represent the fact she's like a ninja. So she only has 1 attack in melee, but she's super fast. And then I gave her the lightning fast ability, which means she's +2 to all run and charge rolls. And her movement counts as 10. So she could run and charge 10 inches potentially, which is handy because of all the flashbangs on these guys. Then the wear, which are my 2 melee models, my 2 big werewolves here, and they've got upgrades to their fight and dex, and that's going to make them fight 6 and dex 6, so hard to hit with shooting and also stabbier in melee. And then they've also got lightning fast because they're also giant werewolves, so they get +2 to their run and charge, and they're capped out at 10. Sorry, they capped out at 8 for the run and charge rolls. And everyone's armed, so they all have melee weapons, which is cool. Then we have the Hunter down here with this big crossbow. He's my ranged guy because I have to have 1 of each. So I've got fast, 2 melees, and a range so far. He's got his ranged ability. I upped his fight to 5 and his will to 6 for his 2 boasts. And then I gave him stealthy. He gets +1 from cover saves, which will be handy for all the guns that are going to be coming at him. And then the lady. And the lady's my support model, so she's a little wizard. She's a vampire or something. And she has boosts to her... What did I boost? I boosted her dex and fight, I think. Boosted her move to make her super fast, and her dex, yeah, to make her harder to hit with shooting. And then she comes to 2 powers. So she has time slip. She can give somebody a time slip token, which they can spend during the course of the turn, which is like basically a boost for them, and a missile attack, which just goes right to the wound chart. So she has like a little Hadouken, and she can boost the models around her. There's my 2 5-point warbands, and that means that we're going on to setting up a game. So choose a mission. Well, I'm going to do mission number 1 from the solo missions. And on top of that, there's every turn a random event happens during solo missions to spice things up, which I think is going to be cool. And it's 3d10. So I need to play Here We Come first. It really doesn't matter what they're after, that you're in the way. So army lists are as normal, but the player's the defender and the NPC is the attacker, so I'm automatically the defender here. Activations are normal, so the model, the warband with the least models would go first, and then it goes to most casualties. 3 objectives, and they're automatically placed with 10 inches from the center of the board and 8 inches from each other. So I've got 1, 2, 3, all basically spoked out, and these are going to be salvage markers, which we're trying to salvage from, and they can trigger unexpected events. So now that we know the mission we're playing, we have to select a region we're going to be playing in. We're going to be playing in the wilderness. Now the wilderness could cause all kinds of terrible things to happen, like a beast to show up or little like ants to attack us when we're salvaging from the objective markers. And then I have to roll for the NPC's goals. Now the victory conditions are objectives and kill points as normal, and you get a victory point when scored for each one. So if you kill an enemy model or if you interact with an objective with an action. But each of these models is going to have something special that they get to do. And we'll roll one at a time. So for her, 10, she's going after objectives. She's trying to salvage 2. For the 2 fighters, 4 and 9, so objectives, and hates fast, so hates my centipedes. He hates the fast models, and she's going after objectives. This just doubles the points scored. So she's going to double the amount of points scored from objectives, and so is she. He's going to double the amount of points scored from killing my fast models. For the hunter, that's a 5, hates ranged. Well, it's handy for him. And then 9 objectives. Also activate the objectives as a free action if they're the objective ones, which is going to be terrible. And the hate models are going to get 3 VPs for each kill instead of 1. First, we deploy within 6 inches of the center of the table, and then the enemy warden has to deploy. So we want to get to the objectives. You definitely want to. You definitely want to, because you're fearless. And then team guns, you're going to sit up here. I have healing on my weaponsmith, so keeping him near the action is probably going to be a good idea. And then everyone else deploys. NPCs deploy exactly 12 inches from any player models. So the hatred models have to deploy within 12 inches of the type they're after if possible. And that means that we're going after these guys. Objective models, try and get as close as possible to an objective without being within 12 of the NPCs, or the PCs rather. Same with this objective model, so like so, I guess. Not within 12. It's you want to be within 12 of a fast model, or just at 12 of a fast model, so that makes sense. You're going to go over here. So it's at a 12 of Team Centipede. Going after the ranged models, so let's put you over here in cover, ready to shoot Cora and have a sniper fight. And then you're going after objectives too, so you're going to hang out back here and be ready to hunt down and push that button. So now we're deployed. So all the models are placed for our first mission. We're ready for round 1 of 4. The game ends after 4 turns, and we're gonna roll to see who's going first. Now, the normal method for determining who goes first each round is that you would go with the person that finished deploying first, usually the lowest model count. If you're tied and you have the or there's some other like reason why, like if both sides have lost the same number of models over the course of the game, then the order is basically determined just by a dice off. So we'll have Isaac and his crew be the white die, and the Gritzies or the Were be the black die, and we'll see who's going to be going first. And rolling off, it's going to be Isaac. So Isaac gets to take the first activation. Now, during each activation, you go back and forth activating models with your opponent. You pick a model, and they have a movement phase and a combat phase. So during the movement phase, you can do one of 4 things. Move, stand up, pick up a drop weapon, or take aim. Now, a drop weapon could be like an injury result, and if you don't pick it up right away, it's gone for the game. So it's just gone. You become unarmed if you're armed with a melee weapon, and if you have a ranged weapon, you can't use it anymore. So I could also take aim. I think I'm going to take aim at this point, because I think we just go with Isaac first. We take aim, we try and blast one of these Gritzi. One of these werewolves. Now, they are really hard to kill, but we might be able to do it. So we won't be able to do it in one shot, though, because we've only got 2 dice. I think what we're going to do is we're going to take aim. So taking aim allows me to get +2 to my ranged attack rolls. Now, there's a couple of targets I could do, but I only have a front 180 field of fire. So right now I can see the Mistress, but she's obscured. I can see this Were over here, and I can definitely see the Hunter. We're going to try and shoot the Hunter. Now, we're definitely within 20 inches. And taking aim will allow us to get +2 to our dice roll. It's the combat phase, and that means we're going to shoot. We have a ranged attack, which rolls 2 dice, and what we have to do to make a ranged attack is try and beat the dexterity of the Hunter. So the Hunter has dexterity of 5. So I'm looking on 5+, but I get +2 to the dice roll. Now if I roll high enough, I will score a critical and also trigger my piercing ability to make him -2 his save, which is handy because he's stealthy. So with +2 to my roll, I'm basically looking for 3s or better, and every 9 will be piercing, well 9 or 10, and every 10 is actually 2 hits instead of 1. So let's see if I manage to land any hits. Whoa, I got a crit and a hit as well, because I'm +2 to the roll, that makes a 5. So that's going to be 3 total rolls, and the 2 that were a 10 or better, because they're double hits, will be piercing, which is -1 to his saving throw. Now a saving throw is equal to or under, and he has a save of 2 or less. He's going to get +2 from being in cover, +1 just for the cover, and then +1 for his stealthy skill, but then -1 for the piercing. So 2 of these dice will be on a 3 or less, because it goes to 4 with the +2 and then -1. And he passes them both, and the other one will be on a 4 or less. Nope, you failed. It cause a wound, which we'll put on him, and my activation on Isaac is over. So now it's over to the wear. Before I get too far ahead, I actually have to roll 3d10 and see what the event for the first turn is. That's a 25. Indomitable, the player model of your choosing, is immune to wound charts this game turn. Sweet. Well, I guess we'll just make this bug immune to wound charts. When the AI player activates, they actually do it in a specific order. The first is most likely to die, so the lowest wounds remaining. Then it's best chance to score a point, then it's model that needs to move into a better position. Roger's gonna go first because he has the best chance of dying, and he's a ranged model, and right now he's going after hating ranged models. So he's gonna try and shoot Cora, I'm imagining. So when we look at the logic tree for ranged AI, he's going to... ranged. Try to kill models to prevent them from scoring or killing. Scoring objectives is secondary priority. So movement, stand up, move into shooting range, line of sight, at a higher possible position, aim, and then move into base contact. So he's going to aim, because that's his most likely thing to do, and then he's going to shoot enemies. 2 shots into Cora, because it's the preferred target. Not in any kind of cover, I don't think. So that's just going to be a straight up pair of shots. Her dex for Cora is 5. So shoot on 5. Oh, a crit and a hit, so 3 total. Now Cora's armor is 3, so on a 3 or less she'll drop some. And she fails them all and just dies immediately. Dang, well, that's not great. And that's going to score 3 VPs for the wear. Bang, bang, because that was the preferred enemy for that target. With that done, I think we're going to activate one of our centipedes and try and score. So they can move 8, and we're going to go over here with this one, I think. So they can move 6, rather. No, they're fast, they can move 8. So we're just going to move over to here with the move skill, and then spend its second action to interact with the objective and try and scavenge. Now when it scavenges, you roll a die. On a 1 or a 10, something terrible happens. On a 2 or better, or a 2 to 9, you're fine. We got a 3, so we're just gonna score a point from scavenging. We get some goodies at models all done. So then it's back to this side. Now it's most likely to score is probably the next, because he's activated, and that means we're gonna go with this objective. Actually, it would be this one is the closest to the target. So the mistress is going to go, and she's going to try and score. So for fast models, it's stand up, then move into contact with an objective. So it does so, and then move towards closest or weakest enemy, and then activate objective, and that's going to be it. Now the activate objective is free for this model because it loves objectives, but that's okay. It's just going to do it anyway. Score 2, and that'll take the wear to 5. Back to me, and I think the priority now is going to be trying to kill her, because if we don't, we are going to be in trouble. So we're going to move my weaponsmith. He can go 3 and 6 around the corner here. And we're going to try and stay away from you. We're going to shoot this wear, because she's terrifying. So 2 shots. The wear have a dexterity of 6, because I opt their dexterity, and so it's going to be a 6 or better to hit with that ranged weapon. A 5 and a 2 will both miss. And it's most likely to score again, and now these are melee models, but one is going after objective if possible. Logic tree is stand up, move towards closest weakest enemy, ending in rear if possible, and then move into base contact with objective, and then pick up weapon. Fast, that means moving towards the weakest model, which is over here, but it's going to end in contact with the objective still, and then as a free action activate it, because it can. So that's going to cost and gain 2, because it's an objective model. Then it's going to try and charge. Now in the charge phase, you roll a d10 and move that many inches, and you end in base contact, you get to make melee attacks. So she gets +2 to her charge roll, which is great, and she's going to get a 6, which is more than enough to charge the weaponsmith and get into melee. And then make the stabs. Another neat feature of charging is if you ever roll a 10 for a charge roll, you automatically do a wound roll, because you just like tackle whoever it is that you're going after, and do something like disarm them or stun them or like knock them over or whatever. Now, interestingly, melee is actually simultaneous. Now you get a bonus attack for charging, which means there's going to be 3 attacks for this melee model, but the weaponsmith does strike back, and both sides will take damage. Now a 1 is a critical in this case because they're trying to roll equal to or under their melee skill, which means the weaponsmith's rolling for 4 or less, and the wear is rolling for 6 or less. So let's see what happens. So a 5 will miss, but these 2 7s will also miss, and only 1 hit gets dealt. And then you make saves for your hits that get dealt. Now she or he has a save of 2 or less. Does he pass? He fails, and he'll take a wound. So wounded right here. It's on back to Isaac and friends. Now the weaponsmith's wounded, Isaac's gone. I think we need to try and it's 1 to 7 right now because they managed to just ace that that unfortunate ranged model. My Lieutenant Corge got murdered by the Hunter. So I think what we're gonna have to do is we're just gonna have to try and score, I think. So going 8 over to here, we can grab this objective. And then, oh, these 2 models actually pop out of melee when they're done too. They move back. Because he can't go a full 2 inches backwards, the wear is actually gonna get pushed back an inch as well. And it always creates a 2-inch gap because you can't come within 2 inches of an enemy model without charging it. It means that there's no having to worry about shooting in melee. Because I think we're just gonna try and shoot right now. We have a 6-inch range attack. We have the Fearless ability, which means we can interact with this, which is nice. I think we're just gonna try and shoot. It's only 1 dice though. Ooh, and interestingly, actually, she was unable to prey, or to loot actually, because if the enemy's within 6, you can't do it. So we're not actually as bad as I thought we were. We're 5-1 right now, because there's an aura preventing it. Now he can't, because she's within 3. I could have moved a little bit further over to here probably to be able to do it. And I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna loot. And roll 4 and not trigger any bad events and go to 2 to 5. So then it's this melee model, and this melee model hates fast, so it's coming right after me. So it's gonna walk, and it walks 6, but it stays at a 2. And then its second action is gonna charge. And charging goes 9, not quite 10, so it doesn't cause the critical charge because you have to roll it naturally, and gets into melee. Once again, it's got 2 attacks, 3 for the charge, melee 6, and my melee for my fast model is 6 as well, but with only 1 attack. So let's see what happens. So a 6 will hit, the 2 8s will miss, and the 7 will miss as well. And that means just 1 armor save for my little centipede here on a 3 or less. 6, no, he'll take a wound. Get bloodied. And last but not least, it's going to be most chance of scoring. So once again, it's going to be this vampire, and she's going to walk her 8, trying to get to the objective as a support model. I keep forgetting my -2 to charge rolls against these guys. It hasn't mattered yet. Everyone's been way close enough. So stand up, move within 12 allies and enemies you're trying to affect. Try to keep an ally between you and the enemies and move into base contact with objectives. And then use all applicable powers on allies or enemies or activate objective. So she's an objective character, which means she gets a free action activated anyway. So she'll use her powers to make a missile attack. Activate her power, she has to make a willpower check. Her willpower is 6, so a 6 or less. She can also take a wound to auto pass. So she fails, she's gonna take a wound to auto pass, meaning that the power goes off on the centipede. And she wouldn't be able to cheat it like that, but we'll see what happens to him now that he's been zapped with whatever her Hadouken is. D10 and apply the following effect against the target enemy with no saves allowed. So what happens? D10, it's a 2. No effect. Didn't happen. Didn't work. Also attempt to give out the time slip power because she can use all her powers at once, but she's not within 12 of her friends. So then she can use her free action, activate the objective, but she can't because there's an enemy model within 6. In the first round, 2 to 5 and down a model, which means Isaac and friends are going to have the ability to go first next round, which is sweet. And we're on to round 2. I think we just open with Isaac. Oh, sorry. We get pushed back 2 inches here. I forgot to at the end of this move. Yeah, I think we just go with Isaac. Now, I do have a command token, which could be used to give a free action to somebody. And it doesn't count towards my total actions. Do I want to do that? And I could do that before the end of the round, too. But it had to be somebody who hadn't activated yet. So we forgot our command token for this turn, but the free command token could go on 8. That would be the ranged dude next turn. So he's going to have a free action this round. We'll just randomize it by rolling down the roster. And I think we're going to go with, yeah, we're going to go with Isaac. Going to try and blast right here. So 2 shots in the open against this wear. We got to try and protect the weaponsmith, I think. And let's see if we hit. So she is Dex 6. We'll aim as our move because it's in her front 180. And then we'll blast twice. So 6, so that's a 5, which will miss, and a 3, which will miss. Well, then we'll spend the command token to do it again. Ha! So there's 1, and that's going to be a 4, which will miss. So 1 hit, she has an armor of 2 or less, and she fails, so she takes a wound. So now it goes to activating the wear models, and it's most likely to score is next. So she's an objective character, and she's going to try and, but she's melee, so she's going to try and charge the weakest target. I think that's the weaponsmith. Most likely to score, not likely to score over here. I think actually she's just going to be the mistress again. If she's fast, she's going to stay on the objective and push it 1 more time for 2 more. And go to 7, because she can. gonna be the end of us because she's just there looting the box. And what am I doing, Ash? This was the objective she was going after. She'll move 8 over to here and push this button, which she easily could have done last turn too. Complete wrong spot apparently, because I'm terrible at this. I keep forgetting which one of the objectives. The cage is not the objectives, it's the big smokestacks. Oh, where do we think we should be going? Well, she's gone. The weaponsmithing is going to go next and try and finish off this wear. And we'll aim to do it. So again, it's going to be a 4+ on these 2d10s. And we get a critical hit for 2 armor rolls. So 2 or less twice. Fails, fails, and she's gone. That's going to score us a VP because we managed to kill one of these... Where's we're gonna go to 3 to 7. Well, next most likely to score is over here, and he's just gonna charge because that's what he do. -2 is still a 5, +2 for the lightning pass. So moving in, 3 dice to the 1 on the centipede. So centipede's dex is 6, dex 6 on the melee guy, or sorry, fight 6 on the melee guy, and a bonus die for charging. So the 7 will miss, the 2 2s will hit, and the 8 will miss. So he's gonna have to make 2 armor rolls and armor 3 or less. Let's see if he does it. He's going to fail, and he's dead. And that was his preferred enemy, and that means 3 more score for the AI, and take us to 10. Into 3, things are not looking good for Isaac and friends. Last but not least is this centipede, and I think the centipede's going to try and charge, because there's not a lot left for us to do, and this guy has a, or this lady has a wound. So we're just going to move out, and then we're going to make our charge roll, and go in. And in we go. We rolled our 2. And do we get a bonus attack? Yes, we do. It's going to be melee of 6 or less, and then fighting back 1 attack from that support piece on a 5 or less. So misses and 2 hits. So 2 armor saves required over on the support piece, which is a save of 2 or less. 9 and 2 passes 1, fails 1, which means an injury roll because it took a wound and didn't die. You should have made an injury roll over here to the weaponsmith too. His wound chart roll was a 2. Disarmed. Well, okay, that means that he needed to pick up his gun as his first action instead of aiming last turn, but he rolled a 10 to hit, so it doesn't actually affect the fact that I wanted him to aim instead. Centipede, who'd missed with his gun, his wound chart roll was a 10. He took an extra damage, so he only had 1 hit point left. And then what's going to happen over here to this support piece? A 9, bleeding. Oh no. The model loses a hit point sort of each time it's activated unless this model or a friendly model can staunch the bleeding. Push back 2 inches away. And she is now bleeding. So she'll attempt to staunch bleeding in the combat phase instead of using her powers this turn, so she doesn't die. Someone's gonna have to do it for her though, because it happens at the start of her activation and not the combat phase. So if someone can't get over there, she's dead, which means she's probably just dead. Well then, scored. I think it's over to you. You're the last one to go. You're gonna try and hunt down range models, which means you're gonna get in a shooting fight with Isaac. So aiming is your preferred action first, and then shooting Isaac in cover. Which means you get 2 shots of the range attack, hitting on Isaac's dex, which is 6 or less, or sorry, 6 or more. No, you miss. It's round 2, and it's 3 to 10 right now, because we've lost a whole lot of models. Well, she goes, and then she dies, because she starts her activation, whoop, and bleeds out, because no one can staunch her bleeding. And she was most likely to die, actually, so she would have actually done that before he was going to shoot. So she's gone as well now, and that'll score a VP and take us to 4 at the end of round 2. And we've both lost 2 models. It's going to be a roll-off to see who goes first. So round 3, and let's roll off and see who's going first. 3 models left on each side, but the score is really lopsided. And it's going to be Isaac's Warband. Well, Isaac, you need to try and prevent her from scoring because she is just racking up the points. And also, you'll get bonus points for killing her because she is a whatchamacallit, a leader model. She's gonna go next if she survives because she's most likely to score. So 2 shots from Isaac, he'll aim again, try and go down range. The mistress, her dex is 7, so 7, 6, 5. 5's to hit. 1 hit, and then she has to make her armor roll. She's armor 3. 1, she passes, she's okay. She's gonna activate and score again. And yeah, she's fast, so she's gonna move into cover and objectives, and then score. For 2 more and go to 12. Well, then it's Weaponsmith's turn. He'll aim, because I don't think anyone can stop him from scoring over here. He's going to aim and try and blast him before he gets charged again. 6, 5, 4s to hit with 2 range attacks. Hits, so 1 hit, and then does he pass his save? His save is 2 or less. 6, he fails. So wound chart roll. 7? Blinded. All he can do is move next turn. He can't attack. Sweet. That means that the most likely to score is going to be over here, which is the weaponsmith, and he'll shoot Isaac again. So 2 more shots. Hit on Isaac's, well, you aim first. So +2, Isaac's dex is 6. So that's going to be a 5 and a 4. He'll miss twice. It's just this blind fella, and he's going to walk and stay outside of 2, because he can't do anything else. Try and beat up the weaponsmith. We'll score over here, because we're just going to boot the button. And 6 anybody, and we need the points. We're going to go 6 to 12. Some kind of crazy event? Nope. And also, what was the event for this turn? Because I forgot to roll for it. It was 1724. Powerful energies, all willpower checks succeed on a 1 to 9, regardless of willpower this turn. Well, none happened, so it's fine. And that's the end of the round. So it's going to be 6 to 12 at the end of round 3. We're top of round 4, so now what's our event? It's going to be 9, 11, 17. Fortune development, apply the region effect immediately as if we just rolled a 10. A beast arises! So we're going to use an appropriate beast model, and I guess the big angry papa of the, the were has arrived. So what happens is you just get an appropriate model for a monster, roll a d10 in the center of the table, and it appears on that table edge and immediately moves d10 inches. It's going to point towards where it appears, and it moves d10 inches towards the nearest player character model. It's going to go 10 inches towards him. So it rushes this way and ends up around here. And then as soon as within 8, every end of every game round, it's going to try and assault the closest thing with an 8, or the closest PC model with an 8 and attack. It's got a fight skill of 7 or less, 2 base attacks, so 3 on the charge, which is horrifying. And it is either piercing, crushing, or burning close combat attacks. We'll say crushing because it's enormous. Roll a critical hit against it though, it dies. So all you have to do is roll a 10 to kill it. But if you do, you get 2 extra VPs, but it can't be targeted by powers. So you do have the off chance of killing it if you roll a 1 in melee or a 10 with shooting. And it's worth 2 VPs, so it's kind of a Hail Mary, which is kind of neat. A random event, this couldn't be worse for me, so let's see who's going first. White again will be Isaac, so low, so it's going to be the were going first now. Final turn of the game, we're 6 to 12. I need a big turn to pull this off, even just to tie it up. Most likely to score, it's going to be over here, so she's going to push the button to 14. As she do. We'll just stand there once again. So now it's over to me. Now I got to choose, I mean, most likely to score next is probably going to be this guy, because he's not blind. I think we just blast him. Aim and blast him with the weaponsmith and hope this all works out. So 2 shots, hitting on with aiming, it could be 4 better. 5 and 10 for a crit, so 3 armor saves, 2 or less. Can we kill him? Can we kill him? Passes 1 but fails 2, and that's him dead. Good on you, fella, we're at 7 now. I think the command token's going to have to go on Isaac this turn to shoot twice, but the next most likely to score will be over here, and he's going to try and target range, so shooting Isaac once more, aiming first. The hunter takes a shot. He's going to hit once on a 2, because, sorry, on a 9 actually, sorry, because that'll beat the dex of 6, and this is only a 4, which doesn't do so. So 1 armor roll, in cover, 4 or less. I don't know what that is, because I managed to perfectly roll it out of line of sight. It's a 10, it's going to take a wound. Isaac takes an owie. Well, it's Isaac's turn. This guy doesn't go until the end. So I think we just hope for the best. So we're going to shoot. We'll probably end up using the command token here. We're going to shoot into the leader lady. That's what we have to do. So her dex is 7. We'll aim first, which means we need a 6, 5 or more. We got a crit for 2 hits. All right, sweet. She's only armor 2. And she fails and takes 2 wounds. What's her injury? A 4. Skewered -2 dex. Oh, sweet. She's dex 5. It'll make her easier to hit now. Alright, so she's badly hurt, and we'll use our command token on ourselves to just shoot again. See if we can finish her off. So now she's 5, 4, 3 or more to hit. Hits twice with his ranged weapon. Also shoots -1 to her saves there, too, which I should have remembered from piercing. She has to make 2 more saves. And she fails. So she's toast. And she's the leader, which means she's going to give up 2 VPs when she dies, and we'll go to 9. There's no unactivated were models left, so we're just going to move with you, Centipede. And then you're going to try and boop the button, and don't roll a 1 or a 10. You're good. So you're going to score us a VP for having activated the objective. 10. And then does this monstrous thing charge you at the end of the round? So 4th turn, D10 roll. Nope, fails and doesn't do it. And we don't get crushified. Even having almost killed the entire raiding warband, they scored enough salvage at the end that it was 14 to 10, and we've lost. But we get to do our campaign turn now. I've been thinking the the Wear faction would have probably used their come back to life ability on her to save her and to regenerate a wound. That feat probably would have happened. First things first, my 2 dead models, Korra and the Centipede, get re-put together by the Ancient Goddess, and they gain an insanity point. They get 3 insanity points, they go back to 0, and they have to make a willpower check, or they might develop some kind of crazy. Now everybody's gonna earn experience. Now, he killed a model for 1, and survived for 2. He killed a model who was the leader for 2 and is a surviving leader for 4, and he booped the button twice for 2. That guy over here also managed to boop a button for 1. Her died before she got to do anything, so she's not getting jack. Well, this is gonna level up actually, from level 0 to level 2. He's got 4 experience. So he gets to choose to increase his dexterity, fighting skill, willpower, or gain +2 movement, and choose a passive skill. The quick learning skill, which means on an 8+ during any mission he survives, he'll gain an extra bonus experience point. Centipede also leveled up, and he's going to gain scouting as a skill, a passive skill. He gets +1 to my rolls to see who, if he takes part in a game, to see who deploys first, which is kind of handy, which also could mean that you go first. And then my weaponsmith also leveled, and we're going to take haggling. So when I sell an item, I get on a 8+, I get an extra gold piece. Then we get to explore. So we're gonna have, I guess, the Centipede explore and see what happens. Something cool. 9. Skilled member, add to your roster. They're 1 experience level higher than your lowest member. Sweet. So I get to add them some of my roster. Add a level 1 ranged character, I guess? Or maybe I'll add a melee character. Yeah, I'll add a melee character, a level 1 melee character. And I get to give him a skill. Get ready for our next game. So we didn't find any merchants or items and stuff, so no cool collecting things. But we did, however, gain the skills and experience from being ambushed by these terrible werewolves. Now, it was a scavenging mission. I would have gotten to roll in the item chart if I'd won, but unfortunately all the loot got taken off by the werewolves. I didn't get any favor points either because I didn't win the mission and I didn't kill all of my opponent's models in battle. I'm kind of starting off at 0 except for the experience, but the roster has been upgraded by a single model. I'm going to find an appropriate figure for my collection to add to that. And yeah, we're ready for our next game. We'll try out mission 2. So there you go, end of the game. Brutality living up to its namesake and being effectively super brutal. Losing a model in the first turn, both sides taking huge amounts of casualties. Nobody going insane though, and everyone coming back to life was a nice benefit. Although I gained some insanity points that may lead to bad things in the future. So I'm gonna play a couple more games of this. I'm gonna work my way, I think, through all of the solo games just to try out different warbands and dig through my model collection and find cool things to play against. So mission 2 is going to be get to the choppa. Make a normal list for the player. Don't make an NPC list, as there will be many NPCs in this mission. Choose 2 free model traits and 1 free model ability to apply to all the swarms. Use the following stat line for each swarm model. And then basically I'm running away from huge hordes of stuff. So you'll see that in 2 weeks as Isaac and friends basically have to hit the bricks and get chased away by something terrible. I mean, they do live in the wilderness and the wilderness is bad. So we'll see that in the future. Don't let them ash. Happy gaming. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.